Hello, everyone. So today we're gonna be looking at the CSS portion of this project, right? So if you remember, uh, we already did our HTML. So we have HTML here, right? So what we need to do, we need to create a CSS file. Yeah, so if you can quickly look at the current state of our website. So this is where we left off, right? You can see it's just an ugly website with only HTML, right? So we created this file. So let me do it like this. Let me do it like so. So I can have over here. I want to have, yeah. Okay, great. So the first thing that we need to do, we need to link the two files. We need to link the HTML with the CSS, right? So that is the first thing that we need to provide a link, right? So to do that, we come here to the head tag, and then we create a link tag, right? The relationship is style sheet, and then okay. So we have the relationship, and then we have the href, right? The hyperlink reference. The href is gonna be style. So on the same folder, gonna target the style.css. Then if we quickly come here and we target the body, and then we change the background color to red, for example, you can see that we have red as background. So this means that we have properly linked these two files, right? So without wasting any further time, let's quickly get into the project. Right, so the first thing that I want to do is to to get the font. So for this, we are using a font family called Poppins. So we must get access to this Poppins font. So that is like the first thing that we would want to do. But for that, you must go to the browser and go to Google Fonts. Of course, this is a Google font. So we're gonna go to Google Fonts, right? And then we're gonna come here and we're gonna search for Poppins. Right, so we have Poppins here. So as you can see, so if I click to this Poppins font, so it would display my Poppins styles, everything. Then I click this button, get font. After here, I click get embedded or get embed code. By the way, you can click download and install this font into your system, but for now, let's use get embed, right? So on this window under web, there is link and import, right? So I'm going to click import because I want to include this in my style sheet. So what I'll do, I'll just copy this from here, add imports up to this semicolon and copy this. Then I'll come back to my code and paste it here. So with this, we have successfully included or imported the font Poppins from Google Fonts. But after that, you need to have like global styles. So this is how I'd like to like structure everything, right? So global styles. So instead of sectioning everything using comments, I like to use layers. So layers are my personal favorite because you can like minimize your code to make sure that you navigate your file better. Because if you have like 1,000 lines of code, it's very like it is very tiring, like to scroll if you want to go at the beginning of your file. So I like to use layers to make that process less tedious, right? So firstly, I'd like to have a global layer. So here we're gonna have all the styles that will affect more than one thing, right? So here I'd like to include stuff like custom properties, which are basically CSS variables, right? And I'd like to include the styles for things like buttons that are reusable throughout the website, right? So what I'll do, firstly, I will like define some custom properties. So here we use this root, which means at the root of our website, we are defining these custom variables or custom properties. So these will be color variables or color custom properties. Right? So here, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just take the colors from my website and then create variables so I can use the variables instead of hard coding the colors myself, right? So I think that will be a good thing to learn, though they won't be useful that much for this project, but it's good practice to make sure that your things like your colors, you always create variables instead of hard coding them in every element that you are styling. So firstly, you're gonna have white color. So this is gonna be FFF, that's white. Then secondly, we're gonna have the off-white. So off-white, it's basically the color for my light mode background. So you can see it's not actually white, but it's very light. So I called it off-white. So this is the color I'm mentioning by off-white. So I'm just quickly gonna copy the hex code for it. Then we're gonna have black. So this black is actually the version of this black. So it's not an actual black color, but for this website, this is the very dark one, the dark color that we have. So I just call this black. And then we have this website's version of yellow, right? And then we have this website's version of gray. So we have gray 500. And then we have gray 900. So these are actually different shades of gray. Then we have trans white, which is transparent white. So we're gonna use this for mostly our shadows. And then we have trans black. So this is what we're gonna do. Yeah, so if I'm forgetting something, so we're gonna come here and add if there's anything that I'm leaving out. but according to the project that we currently have, this is what we're gonna do. Right. So this is actually the demo, right? So this is the demo, and this is the website that we are working on. So let me quickly close this tab. Right. So we need to work on some. There must be some resets, right? The first thing is to set the font. So we need to set the font for every element, and then we need to provide some reset styling. So if you look closely here, we have something called margin. So we have like some default margin. So we need to remove the default stuff. So there is default margin. You can see there is a bit of spacing between the edges of my browser and the content. So we don't want those spaces. So we need to like remove those spaces. Also, you see there is space between the text. So we need to remove, that's the default space that the browser gives us. So we need to remove all that so that we can like properly control all the dynamics of our website. So this is the universal selector. And then we're gonna set the font family for our universal selectors, like or for everything. So universal means everything. So here we're gonna set the font family. We're gonna use four pins. And then for the fallback, we're gonna use any sans serif. So if Poppins is not properly loaded, we're gonna use any sans serif font that is available on the system, right? And then we're just gonna set the box sizing to border box for every element or HTML element that we have on our page. So with this set, you see that we have like a slight change on the font, right? So let me just put this here so that you can see. If like I comment this, you see that the font changes. So if I put Poppins back, you see now we have Poppins. So this means that our font was properly loaded, right? So let's move on. We have like the default margin for our body, for our P tag, and for our heading. So we need to remove that also. So for body, for paragraph, for H1 and H2, we need to set the margin to 0 because we are removing the defaults. So you see what's happening now. All the margins have been removed, right? Okay, so let me set the line height to 1 also. So you can see that more spacing has been removed because text has a spacing caused by line height. So that's why you see that my text is so cramped now. So these are the resets that I'm having for this file. Right? Now, next, we need to set the background color of the project. Right? So the background, we're gonna use the body tag here. So the body tag is basically the what we see here. Everything that is here, it's on the body tag. So we need to change the background of this color of this body tag to off-white. If we are on dark mode, we need to change this background to black. So let's do that. So we are targeting the body. Then we are changing the background color to a variable, right? So the variable name is off-white, right? So if you like watch clearly here, the background, if I comment this, you see that it goes back to white. If I uncomment, then it's like off-white. So it's slightly darker This is a slightly darker like, version of white. But then if we look at the demo here, we have like this space between the edge and the top of the website and the content. So we need that space. So for that, we're gonna do padding top. Let's do maybe 30 pixels. So we can push everything down by 30 pixels, right? Now we need to address the issue of the dark mode. We know that we want to change the background of the body to black if we are on dark mode. So if we're on dark mode, a class of dark is going to be added to the body tag. So something like this, there will be a class of dark. So this will mean we are on dark mode, right? So we're gonna control this with JavaScript when we reach the JavaScript section. But for now, we're just gonna do this. We're gonna add the class and remove it to cycle between light and dark mode. Then we're gonna say we are targeting the body if it has a class of dark, right? So if this is the case, we're gonna set the background color to instead a variable of black, right? So you see now that the background changes to black because we have this class of dark here. If I remove this and save, you can see that it goes back to this off-white. So this is how we're going to control the light and dark mode. So anytime we want to check how everything looks on dark mode, we're gonna come here and add this class, right? So moving on, we have we have this section called header. So we're gonna style this section. Okay, so for that, I'm gonna go up here and minimize this one, right? And then I'm gonna have like a layer called header. So inside this header, let me actually call this dark mode toggler instead of header. Let me call this there dark mode toggler. All right, so in here, we're gonna have this class. We're gonna target this class. So I just copied that. So dark mode toggler is actually this container that is housing this icon, this SVG icon. So let's focus on styling that one. Right, so here we're going to have like a width, gonna set the width and size of this container, gonna set the background, box shadow, and other good stuff. So let's do the width. Let's try 70 pixels, and then the height of 70 pixels, right? So you see that it's round here. It's a circle. So, okay, let's first set the background color to a variable of white. So you can see now it's white. So to make this, to make it like a circle, you're gonna set the border radius to 50%, right? And to make it like at the center of the page, we're gonna set the margin left to auto, and the margin right to auto, to make sure that it's always at the center. Now we need to make sure that this icon is at the center also, right? So we're gonna do display. Let me use grid, and then set the place content. Let me do center. So perfect. So this centers everything, or this centers the icon. So what I need to do now is to maybe add like this shadow. So there is a shadow there, right? A box shadow. So I'm gonna say sorry, box shadow. I'm gonna do 0 for X, 0 for Y. Then I'm gonna do pixels for spread. And I'm gonna use the variable. So trans black, I think. Yeah, so you can see that we have like a shadow there. So perfect. Now, if you look here, you can see that this is way smaller than this one. This is big, right? So we need to address the sizing issue. So we're going to be using media queries because this size is actually the size I have set for the desktop one. So you can see that for desktop, we have this 70 by 70. But for mobile, it drops down to like a quite smaller size. So we need to do the same thing here. We need to do the same. So for that, let's do a media query. So we say add media screen and right if the width is less or equal to 680 pixels. So what you're gonna do, we're gonna target the dark mode toggler, and then we're gonna set the width to maybe 50 pixels, and then set the height to 50 pixels, right? And then we need to make sure that the icon inside is also small, right? So we're gonna say the dark mode toggler, we are targeting the SVG inside, because remember here that this tag inside this dark mode toggler is an SVG. So that's why we are writing SVG here. So we're gonna manipulate the width to about 25 pixels. So now you see that the icon is good also. Now the issue is the color. You can see that the color of the icon is not right. So here we have like a gray icon, here it's black. So we need to make sure that the color is good, right? So we're gonna, okay. Okay, so let's do dark mode toggler. We are targeting the SVG. Inside the SVG, we are targeting the path, right? So this path, we're gonna set the color, the field, because if you look here, inside the SVG, we have the path, then we have this fill attribute. So this is the attribute that gives color to this icon. So we need to manipulate this fill, right? So here we're gonna say fill. For light mode, it's gonna be var, and then it's gonna be black. This is for light mode. And then we need to set the same for dark mode, because if you come here and go to dark mode, you can see that it's white. Also, the background here changes. So we need to take care of the background of the icon and the color of the icon when we are on dark mode, right? So that's what we need to do. In fact, I'm putting this in the wrong place. I should be like putting this outside the media query, not inside. It should be outside. Right. So here, this is the background color is white. So we need to deal with this background when we're in light mode also, right? Okay. Okay, first let's start with this. So here we are saying if the body has a dark class, we need to take all of this, right? We need to take all of this, and then we need to change the fill. So here I think the fill should be white instead of black. And then for the background here, for the background, I think it's gray 900. That's the good color. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing. if the body has a dark class, we're gonna grab the dark mode toggler, and then we're gonna change the background to a variable of gray on 900. Okay, so now let's see if I add like this dark class here, do we get any? Okay, great. So you can see now if I add this dark class, okay, but it doesn't correspond. Is it transparent black instead of gray? Okay, so let's try transparent black here, trans black. Okay, so this looks close. Is it trans black or trans white? No, it's black. Okay, that's for a box shadow. Okay. All right, so no problem here. Let's see, there's something that I've noticed. Right, so if I zoom way in here, you can see that we have like a box shadow there. So I want to remove this box shadow. I want to remove this box shadow. So if we have like body dark, I mean, if we have, where is this? Oh, here it is. If we have the class of dark in our body, for the dark mode toggler, we are changing the background, but I want to remove the box shadow because it causes some distortion there. So we're gonna say this should be unset. So you can see the difference. Look at the circumference of this circle. You see with the box shadow, with the box shadow off. So I wanted like to get rid of that small detail. Right. So right now, I believe it looks close. So if we remove this dark, you see we're on white. Then if you go down, the icon changes the size. All right, so now we are done with the header section, right? We are done styling the header section. We have to move like to the main section. All right, so what I will do, I would like to use this main container to center everything, right? Because if you look at this one, you can see that everything is centered. So I would like to use this container to center everything by making it a flex container. So for the main one, right? So for the main one, let me make it a flex container. So in fact, I'm gonna add the code here. I'm gonna add that code here. I'm gonna say main. I'm gonna make it a flex container. You can see that everything is aligned horizontally because the default behavior of a flex container is this way. Then I would say flex direction because I want to change the direction to column. So it goes back. Then I want to align items at the center. So you see everything is aligned at the center, which is what I want because I want everything to be aligned at the center. You can see now it looks close to this one. It looks very close with the layout, you know. Okay, great. So let me go out of here. So the next part will be the profile section. So we need to write styles for the profile section, right? So let me grab this. We're gonna create a layer for profile, and then we're gonna target the profile stuff. So here I have like, if you see here, right? So inside profile, we have an image and then we have info. So these are two sections, right? So if you can look here, for our mobile, these sections are stacked but for our desktop or tablet, they are side by side. So we need to take care of that. So we can achieve this using grid, or we can use flexbox. But in this case, we're going to use flexbox. Right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start desktop first. So I'm going to say display flex here. So you can see that they are displayed in a flexible container. And then the next part is to make sure that this info is aligned with the image horizontally. So as you can see here, it's aligned in the middle. So for that, we're going to use align items center. You can see that it moves, but now we don't have space between. So here you can see we have like some space in between them, right? So we are going to give a space using a gap property. Let's do 40 pixels. So now you see we have the space. Okay. So now what I want to do, you can see that here, right? You can see that here we have this part. This is a tablet part. So if I go to mobile, you can see it doesn't change, but here it changes to this orientation. So we need to take care of that using a media query. So I'm going to go to add media screen, and if the width is less or greater than 680 pixels, so we're going to take the profile, and then we're going to change the flex direction to is it column? Yeah, let's do column. Yeah, so you can see that it changes now. So if we go to tablet, it changes back to a row column. I mean to row orientation. If we go to mobile, it changes to column orientation. Right. So now we need the space between this button and our image here. Okay, so one thing I've noticed is that when I hover over this toggle, it doesn't change my pointer. I mean my cursor. So we need to take care of that. So here we need to change the cursor to a pointer so that it will be clear that this is a clickable button. So you can see now it changes. Good. So coming here, we need that space on top. So we're gonna use margin top. Let's do, what is the right value? Let's do maybe 65. Okay, this is not bad. And then moving on, we need to style the image. So the following part is the image. So you can see we have this image, right? So inside this image container, we have the actual image. So we need to make sure, we need to style this one to look like this, right? So I'm gonna target the image. So first thing first, let me change the background color to red so we can see this, this container, right? So here, we're gonna have, firstly, a padding of maybe 4 pixels so that we have space between the image and the actual container. And then we're gonna have the border radius set to 50%. So you can see that it's like that. Then we're gonna make this a grid container, and then place content center. So make sure that it's at the center, right? And then we're gonna come here. Did I give this a class? No, there is no class here. Okay, so we're gonna go to the actual image. Inside this image container, we're gonna target the image tag, right? So this image tag, I'm gonna give it a border, right? So this border is going to be solid. It's going to be 8 pixels, and the color of the border is going to be white. Right, so you see now we have the border, right? And then we have to do a border radius of like 50%. So we have to have the semicolon here. So you can see, so this is what I'm trying to achieve. Then we can change this color to yellow. It can look close. But now you can see this one is bigger, this one is quite small. So we need to also manipulate the color. I mean the size. So for size, we need to come here to the image itself and change the width. So let's do the width of 160 pixels. Okay, this looks similar enough. By the way, I'm looking at this. This looks like there is no box shadow. You can see the difference here and here. So let me see what went wrong. Dark mode toggle. It looks like there is no box shadow. Let me do like okay. Why does it look like there is no box shadow? So I'm trying to actually troubleshoot here. Okay, so box shadow. Okay, so now this looks close. Okay, so it trans white. So let me, why did I choose black? Okay, so trans white is basically black with the transparency. Then trans black is white with the transparency. Okay, so I got that mix up. So transparent white is actually the color that I will use on a white background. Then transparent black is a color that I will use on a like a black background. So I got it mixed up. So I saw that it doesn't like correspond, but now it's exactly the same. Okay, great. So moving on, where were we? So we were here. So we are done with this image. Now we need to move to the info, right? We need to move to the info, right? So for the info, remember the info it's the other part. So remember the part with this name and social media icons and all that. So we are here now. So info, the first thing I'd like to change the color of the text. So if we look at this white background, the color is this black, right? If we go to black, the color is white. So we need to deal with that. So info, so to color, the variable is black, right? This is the color for info, right? Then there is a property or a container called name. So I want to provide styling for this one, which is the name of the vector name, right? So it's called name. So here I'm gonna set the font weight to 700. Okay, let me tone it down to 600. Yeah, let's tone it down. And then, okay. So this should be like an H1. Yeah, this is an H1. So let me do the font size. Let's do 24. Let's do 28. 28 looks, let's try 30. I'm trying to see if it looks exactly. So it looks exactly. Then say 7 here. Okay. No, 6 is good. So I'm trying to eyeball it, but this is, I think it's very close, right? So what I want to do, I want to add some space between this the name and the job. So there should be the space there. So I'm going to take the name, and then I'm going to take the job, and then I'm going to make the margin bottom, set the margin bottom to maybe 10. Margin bottom. So guys, watch out for spelling errors and all of that. So yeah, so we have that space. That is good. Now I'm gonna deal with this part. It's called, okay, so one other thing that I want us to do. So if I come here under info and change this to maybe red, you see that the color changes. So you can see that the color is white here, but when we come to the light mode, it's black. So we need to address this issue of color. So here, by default, it's going to be black for the white background or for the light background. So we need to deal with the black version of things. So if the body has a class of dark, we need to take the info, right, and make the color white. Okay, so that's good. So here we are addressing the dark mode. Let's say addressing dark mode, text color, right? So moving on, we are here on the social media links. So the social media links, I called it socials. So the container is called socials, right? So we say socials, right? So we're gonna do flex, we're gonna make them a flex container, and then we're gonna align everything to the center of the page, aligning the icons horizontally, and then we're gonna have space between the icon of 25 pixels, right? We're gonna do margin top of 10 pixels. Okay. Then we're gonna do padding. We're gonna do 10 at the top and bottom and 20 left and right. Okay. So we're gonna do the background color. It's gonna be white. It's gonna be white. And then we're gonna do the border radius of 10 pixels, right? Okay. So what we need to do here is to notice that these icons are smaller than this one. These ones are big, so we need to address that issue. So the icons are SVGs inside. So we're going to have socials. Inside, we have SVGs, right? So let's give them the width of maybe 20 pixels. So now they are good, but we need to make sure they're at the center here, right? So we need to justify content center here. Perfect. Now we have like the color issue for them, right? So let me also do a cursor pointer here so that when you hover over them, the cursor changes. All right, so we need to deal with the color there. Remember the color, we're gonna do socials, SVG, and then path, right? And then we're gonna do fill. So by default, color is gonna be black, right? And then we need to deal with the color for dark mode, because you see if we go dark, the color is white. And then the color of this should change also, the color of the background from white to this color, right? So let me say addressing dark mode. Okay. So if the body has a class of dark, we're going to take this one, right? Take this one, but here the color is gonna be white instead of black, right? So then the other thing is the background here. So let me take this one. So under socials, so T addressing dark mode. So we're gonna have, if the body has a dark class, we're gonna target socials. We're gonna target socials, right? Then we're gonna set the background color to, I think it's trans black. Is it trans black? Okay. So if I save this and then we come here, let's add a class of dark here and see how it shows. Okay, so you can see it's, what if we say trans white? Okay. Oh, it's actually trans black. It's trans black. Okay, no, perfect. Right, so guys, you can see that this is how it shows. But now the only difference here is that, okay, I think the size here is very, like, it doesn't correspond. So let me quickly get the size for this element. Okay, it's 32. So let me adjust that. So it's 32. Okay, great. So under here, we have like 32. Better. Okay. Now the issue is that you can see here, everything is centered on the mobile. Then on a tablet, everything is left aligned. So here you can see that the left alignment is good, but on a mobile, the alignment is skewed. So we need to go under the media query and address this issue of the alignment. All right, so here, so it's info. I think it's info. Let me check it. Yeah, it's info. So under info, we need to sort out this alignment. So let me go back. Let's do text center here. Okay. So is everything at the center now? Okay, so let me do display flex. Flex direction column. Align bottom center. Okay, now this looks more good. Right, so I think we have like a slight problem with the color of this. You know, the color is not quite right. So let me not worry about that. But okay, so you see the background color for the socials and the background for it's not matching the other one correctly. But okay. So next part is going to be this the following. So I want to minimize everything. I want to minimize these sections. I think it's the stats. It's the stats section, stats. Yes. Yeah. So here we have like the stats section. So this is the section. This is the section I'm talking about, the statistics section. So we have the content in 3 columns. So we need to make sure that we deal with these columns here. Okay. So we have like stats. Let me copy this, and then here, I'm going to create a layer called stats. And then firstly, we're going to style stats. So here, you can clearly see that our content or our statistics, they are stacked on top of each other. So we need to address that issue, right? So we're going to change this to a flex container, right? So you can see this makes them being aligned horizontally. But okay, so firstly, let me remove this class here because let me remove this, yes. We're going to edit where every time we want to check if everything looks exactly the same. Right, so we have this. The first thing I want to address is that these containers are very close to this one. So I want to give some breathing space. So I need to provide some margin top. Let's do like 60 pixels so that we have like some nice spacing, right? And then what I want to do, I want to give this like a maximum width, because you can see if I do this, that the width is infinite. The here, it looks like it has a maximum width because the content is not that huge. But if you add other sentences, you will see that it will stretch. So we need to give it like a confinement width, right? So for that, we need max width. So we're going to do 550, right? And then we're going to set the width to 100% to make sure that even if the content length, the width of the content is not enough, but the real estate should be like 100% of the parent width, right? So if you see here, we have this what I want to like, if you look at this one, you see that we have space here. We have space on the left and then on the right. So we need to have like that space. So for that, we're going to do padding left of, of 24. And then we're going to do, so if you see that, you will see we have at the left padding of 24. So we need the same for the other side, padding right of 24, right? So you can see that we have the padding here also. So what else? So here, okay. So let's do justify content space between. So the reason for this is because I will give like a certain width, because if you see here, the first one is 168, the second one is 135, the third one is 133, the width. So we're gonna give them specific width. So this will make sure that it creates some space in between. So let's comment this one for now, but you'll see what I mean. So if we go to each statistic, each stats, the first thing we're gonna have like the color, right? So the color will be black because we are on the white background by default. Then we're gonna have like a max width, the max width of 148 pixels. So this is 148. So you see now that each one is 148, right? So if we expand here, you see that we have like a space left. So this is the space that is left, the purple thing here. I'm not sure if it's visible. So the purple thing here is the space left. So if I uncomment this one, you see that now what happens is that, okay, let me you see that that space that was here is distributed at the center of or in between them. So it is distributed. So this line will control that. So it will take the space that will be left at the end and distribute it in between these elements, because now they have like the specific width. So if the container gets bigger, the space will be distributed in between them. That's why we say justify con space between, right? Okay, so here we're going to make sure that the width is always 100% like we did before. And we're going to text align center, right? So that the content is at the center of the page. Now, if we compare this with this, you can see that the numbers here are very big. So we need to address that. Yeah. So the number, I believe it was called amount. Yeah, it is the amount and stat info. So we need to have styles for amount. So we're gonna say the font size. Let's do 30 pixels. Okay, so this should be a colon. Okay, better. And then we need some space between these numbers and this content. So we're gonna use margin bottom 10 pixels. Okay, so what's next? What's next? Okay, we're gonna do the stat info, and do the line height of 1.2. So the line height is basically the space between each sentences. You can see we have years of work and the experience. So that controls the space in between. So if I remove this, you see that it is much more close. But if you see, and then if let's say I set this to 2, you see that it's very huge. Now the space is very huge. So let's go back to 1.2. Okay, perfect. So now I believe that we are done with this section, because if you look close here, it doesn't change. Even on mobile, we still have this layout. So we won't have like a media query for this one. Okay, so the only thing that is left is to address the color of this. If we like change to dark mode, you see it changes to white. So we need to address that. Right, so we say address dark mode. Right. Where did we set the color? Okay, here it is, stats. So we're gonna copy, sorry, I'm gonna copy this. And we're gonna say if the body has a class of dark, we are targeting the stats, but we are changing the color from black to white. So now if we come here and we add dark, you see that it's white instead of black. If we remove here and save, it's black instead of white. Okay, perfect. So we are almost done with the top part. So the part that is left is this call to action, and then the portfolio and skills section. So let's go to call to actions. Right? So under call to actions, we have these links. So these links, they have like a class of button. So we need to style them, right? And then this one has an image. So we need to style this image as well. So let's go there. Let me go up and close this one. So you can see how layers, you are able to minimize your code, because if we look at this code, we have 201 lines already. But if all of them are expanded, it becomes very tedious to inspect your document, to move and all that. So that's why I like using layers, because it makes my code compact. So I can just minimize the stuff that I'm not using at the moment and open the stuff that I want to use at every moment. And then we're gonna have a layer called CTAs, cats, CTAs, not cats. So this should be spelled right also. So we have CTAs, right? So what we need here, it's for this container. Okay, so let me leave this one for now. Let's do CTAs, and target the buttons inside, right? So for buttons, we're gonna set the height to 50 pixels, right? Let's do the background color. Let's do the background color of red for now. So you can see the buttons, they are red. So here, we're gonna make this a flex container, right? And then we're gonna give them a gap of 10 pixels between the buttons. So you can see there is a gap, right? And then I'm gonna say justify content center, right? And then I'm gonna do a margin top. Let's do a margin top of let's see, 50, how is 50? So you can see that there is a space between these and buttons, right? Okay, great. Then what do I need also? Okay, so let me go back here. So here, I need to set the color of the buttons, right? So the color, let me do var dot yellow. So they are yellow, and then the border radius, let's do 10 pixels. Um, okay. All right, so we have like a height of 50, so their height, and then I'm going to make them flex container. So I'm going to make the button a display of flex, right? And then I'm going to align all items inside at the center, and then I'm going to justify content at the center too, right? And then I want to give them like padding, left and right. So let me come here and say padding left. Let's do 30 pixels. And then I'm going to do padding. Okay, padding right of 30 pixels too. So we have them like this. And then the color, see, the color is black. And then, okay, so I'm going to put the color here. The color is black, right? It's black. Okay, perfect. And also, what do we go and do? Okay, so and another thing, I want to remove this underline here. It's called the text decoration. Let's do text decoration and set it to none. Okay, good. Another one, when we are on mobile, you can see here that the text is like, I think 12, but here it's very big. So here is 12. So we need to address that issue as well. The site, and I also don't like this icon, is way too big. So for this one, we're gonna like decrease this size of this icon. It's way more big. Even for desktop, it's kind of big, so we need like a small button, a small icon instead. Right, so here we have this now. if I come here, let me come to light. So you can see here that, okay, we have like a box shadow. Let's do a box shadow. Let's do a box shadow. A box shadow. Yes. We're gonna choose 0, 0. We're gonna do 2 pixels. We're gonna do var. And then is it trans white? Okay, so what if we try trans black? No, trans white is good. So this is transparency on a white background. Okay, perfect. Now the issue is that if you look here, you see that we have this button. This button, the second button is not yellow. So we need to address that issue. It's not yellow, so we need to make that not yellow. Also for dark, it's this color. Right, so we're gonna go, there's something called the nth child selectors that we're going to use. So let's use the nth child selector, right? So, okay, before we go there, let's like make a media query, and right, and width is less or equal to 680 pixels. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna target the CTAs, we're gonna target the button, and then we're gonna set the font size to 12 pixels at least, so that when we go to like mobile version, it goes to, you see now it becomes big. Then when we come here, it's small. Okay, perfect. So let's use the nth child selectors here. Already we have like a yellow background. So you can see that the first button corresponds to this other one. So you see that it corresponds. So we need to make sure that this one also corresponds to the other one, to these colors, right? So we need to target them, target that. So we're gonna say CTAs dot button, and then here we say nth child. So we're gonna select button number 2 and set the background color to white. All right, so we're gonna have like a variable and set it to white. So you can see that it's white now. So when we have dark mode, when we have like dark mode, so T addressing dark mode, right? Because if you look here, you see that this button is the only thing that changes in dark mode. It's the only thing. This one doesn't change. So we need to address this button here. So the button, the child number 2, right? So we're going to come here and say, if we have the class of dark in the body, right? And then we are targeting the CTAs, we are targeting the button, and then that button must be child number 2, right? And then we need to set the background color to a variable of, I think it was trans black. Is it trans black? And also the color to white, and change the color to a variable of white. So let's do black dark here and see. Okay, so you can see it didn't change. Body dot dark, CTA button, and child 2, background color should be trans black. The color should be white. Why that doesn't want to work? Because if we remove here, let's say it changes. Okay, let me, did I make an error like typing this? Because I don't think so. I, did I make an error typing this? Because now it works. I don't know what I did. Like, what's the difference here? Button. Oh, okay. Now I see now. You see this city A. I wrote city A here instead of city A's. So that's the difference. So you guys see that you can make mistakes. You can make like a lot of mistakes when you are trying to do these things. And the mistakes that you made will cost you dearly because you will see that your website does not want to do what you want it to do and you don't even know what you did wrong. So that's why it's very important to copy and paste things instead of trying to write them yourselves because you can make that mistake. These are case sensitive, and by missing one letter, everything is wrong. You see, so you must always make sure that you are very well rested and you are very attentive. So the last thing I want us to deal with is this icon size. So we need to deal with this. So under city A's, we have the button and then an image. So we can control the size of this. So that we come here, I'll say under city A's, target, the button, and inside the button and image, insert the width to 15. Okay, 15 is small. Let's do 20. I think 20 is good. Even with larger, it's good. Okay, guys. So let's move on. Let's move on. Okay, let's move on, guys, to the next section. Sorry, I was just checking if we are still recording good and nothing seems to be an issue. So let's move on. So we are done with city A's. The following part is the portfolio and skills section. So here we will be designing this. Yeah, so this kind of looks very complicated, but yeah, we're going to be designing this in a moment. Right, so let me copy this, copy, and then we come here and create a layer, then it will be a portfolio and skills layer. So we have portfolio and skills, right? So coming here, you can see that we have, if I very like this portfolio and skills, this is our tab navigation. So this and this, they're very close to each other. So we need a bit of a space there. So we're going to use margin top to do that. Let's do margin top and try 80 pixels this time. So you can see that it dropped by 80 pixels. So what I'll do, I'm going to set like a maximum width for all of this section, right? I'm going to set max width. So I'm going to do max width. Let me do about 750 pixels. And then I'm going to set the width to always be 100. And then I'm going to use grid for this. I'm going to use grid to make sure everything is centered. So it's display grid. And then I'm going to, so you can see now that it has like a maximum width, right? of 750. Then I'm gonna place content center. Do we? Okay, and then place items center. Perfect. So I wanted this to come here, and then I'm gonna do padding. Okay, I don't have. So I'm gonna do padding left, 24 pixels, and padding right. Padding right. So the reason I'm putting this padding here is that if you decrease the window of your browser, it should like leave some space and push the content, right? So that everything looks nice, like you see here. So there is a space here that pushes the content away from the edges. So it's called white space. So that's why I'm adding this padding here on my left and right. So this will ensure that in mobile views, it always looks perfect. So let's move on. We have tab nav here. So let me take this class and then come here, tab nav. I'm gonna have like the maximum width of 400. This is 750 and I want 400 for this one so that you can see it's always that good and confined to this size. So let's do a max width of like 400 pixels. So let's go there. And then what we want to do, I'm gonna set the background color. Okay, so let's do this. This is white first, right? And come here and remove this because I want us to be on dark mode, on light mode first. Right. So the background will be white. So it's white. And then we have the padding. The padding of, let's try 8 pixels. So you can see that we have the padding of 8 pixels here. Actually, I'm styling this part here with the button portfolio and skills. We have padding of 8. We have the border radius of like 10 pixels. You can see now we have like rounded corners. We have rounded corners, right? So after that, we need to make this a flex container. Oh yes, for these buttons. So we're gonna say display flex, right? And then we're going to make a gap of like 10 pixels between the buttons, and also set the width to fit. Let me set the width to fit. Okay, so this means that this navigation will always fit the width of these buttons, but the maximum width of it will always be 400. It will never go beyond 400. But if the width of these buttons added together plus this 10 px of gap is less than 300, I mean less than 400, plus 8 on the left and 8 on the right, that will be the total width of this container. So it will like adapt according to what's needed, right? And then I'm going to target the buttons inside, right? So I'm going to do tab nav. Inside tab nav, we have button text, right? We're going to give them the background of transparent. So the reason I'm doing that, you'll see in a moment. And then we're gonna get rid of the border, right? The border, I'm gonna get rid of the border. And then I'm going to set the width for both of them. So the width will be 150. So let me reset them, right? So you see the width, okay? And then I'm gonna have a height of 50 pixels for each of them. Beautiful. And then what I'm gonna have next, let's think about this. Okay, let me do a padding. Padding left. What am I doing? Padding left of 40 pixels. And then padding right of 40 pixels. So I'm giving them like padding in each of the sides, right? Okay, so now what I want to do, I want to like maybe make the font bolder, semi-bold. Yeah, so now they look good. Okay. So here you see that we have this one, but we have the active one. So the active one should have like a background color that is different, right? So you see here, we have achieved almost the same design, but here for the active one, we need to take care of that, right? We need to take care of that. So for the tab navigation button that has an active class, we are changing the background color to var off-white. So it should be like off-white, should be the same, right? So you see now that we have this, but we are missing rounded corners here. So we need to have like a border radius of 10 pixels, right? So now it looks perfect, right? So now we need to deal with the hover state. You see when you hover over these buttons, they change from whatever color they have to red to yellow, right? So we need to change like the hover state. So we have tab button, tab nav, sorry, button hover state, and then we change the background color to a variable of yellow. All right, so you see that it changes. Also, we need to change the cursor to a pointer for them, right? But you see this one doesn't change because it has an active class, right? So we need to change the background for that one also, right? So here we need to take this one with an active class and add the hover state and do the yellow. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to just nest this one. I'm going to just add this here instead of what the hell am I doing? Okay, so I've made like a mistake. So let me copy this. So instead of like writing the same code, I just add it here. So I'm just going to remove this. So what I did was for the active one, I wanted to have a yellow background as well. So I already have the same code for this one, for the other one. So I just targeted both of them and provided a single property instead of like I'm doing the same thing for both of them separately. So you can see now the issue here is that here we have like a smooth transition. So we need to deal with that. So we go under the button here, and then we're going to add a transition. So to make things simple, we're just going to say all and say 0.5 seconds. So you can see now we have like smooth transitions here, right? So now we want to deal with the styling if we have the dark class here, because you see now it doesn't change, but we do need to change this. So here we're gonna say we are addressing dark mode for tab navigation, right? If we have a class of dark in our body, so the first thing we need to do, we need to target this and change the background color. So I'm just gonna copy everything. We need to target tab nav, and then I'm gonna remove everything. I'm just gonna change these to trans black. Okay. And then I'm gonna like, let me duplicate this and remove this one. So what else that we need to change? Because you see here, dark mode, we still have this. Okay, apparently it's the color of, you see here, the color should be white. And then here, okay, on hover, it should be, sorry, it should be in black on the hover, but the color should be white. So here it's white. Sorry, here it's black and black. Okay, no problem with the text color, but here we definitely need to change the text color. Okay, so here we need to address the issue of the button color. So the button must be, okay, so we need, no, this is not what I want. So we need to copy this. Let's copy this. So we need to target the button and change the color to a variable of white. To a variable of white. So now we have the white color, but the background for this one should be also the same. So it should be black. So we need to change the background for the active one, right? So we need to do the same thing. If in our body we have dark class, right, we need to target the button that is active, right, and change the background color to a variable of black. Yes. So now we need to address the hover states, the hover. So I'm just going to copy all of this, right, and then come here and paste it here. And then here, if we have body dot dark for this, and then we also have body dot dark for the other one, we need to change the background to yellow. That's perfect. But we also need to change the color to a variable of black also. So perfect. So we see now that everything is good. So if we go back and remove this, okay, so yeah, so it's still good. Right, so now we are done with this part. We are done with this part. So the part that we need to worry about now is the following one, the tab content part. So this is the part that we need to deal with right now. That is the next one. So without wasting any further time, let's get into that, right? So this is very fun. Okay, so tab content. We're gonna use CSS grid. You know, we've been using Flex for quite a while now, but we're gonna be using CSS grid, although it will be, or we've used grid before, but not in for simple things like placing an icon at the center of the parent container. So here we're going to be using grid for layout. but it's not going to be heavy. So we're not going to be like using things like areas or grid template areas or stuff. Just going to use grid to create two columns and also to collapse those columns on mobile view. Because if you see here, we have like two columns, but on a mobile view, we collapse those columns into one, right? So we have like one column in mobile view. So we're going to be using grid for just that simple stuff. And yeah. So moving on, we are done with the tab navigation. So, okay, so I'm not gonna use another layer here. I'm just gonna say tab content. So we're gonna write a comment because I'm not gonna use another layer. This is under the same section. Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna do, remember tab content is an ID, right? Not a class. So I'm gonna copy the ID, and for IDs, we write this hash symbol. So I'm gonna use display grid, and then we're gonna set the grid template columns to repeat 2,1 FR, right? And then we're gonna do the gap of 20. So this is the space between the elements. So if you look here clearly, you can see that now we have like two columns, and then inside or in between these items, we have 20 pixels of space, right? So what we're gonna do after that, we're gonna target the portfolio items, because you see we have like portfolio item. So we have each item. So the class is portfolio item. So let's copy here. So this is a class, so I'm gonna use like a period. So here I want to set like the maximum width for these items, right? So let me, okay, so let me not worry about the width. Let's set the height, because the width is already defined by the total width, because remember, this is under a maximum width. I think it's 750 if I'm not mistaken. So let's just use, let's define a height of 200 pixels, right? And then we're gonna do a border radius of 10 pixels. So what I'm styling are these styles. You see, this has a height of 200. This is the border radius of 10 pixels. And then I'm gonna position this relatively, because we're gonna have like containers inside that I will position absolutely. Then I'm gonna set the overflow to hidden also, because I want to like, there's this container. You can see that it moves upwards. So this container will be right at the edge of this image. So I'm just hiding it there. It is there when you hover over, it drops down. So because of I've hidden that container with this line, right? So that is the reason for that. And I want to give this the box shadow. You see, we have like a box shadow. So I do box shadow. We're gonna do 0, 0, and 14 of spread. And I'm gonna have this off transparency on the white background, right? So let me deal with these images. You see this image, okay. So it's good, it looks very good now. It looks good, but you see that I have images that I are not in good space. So what happens is that because of that overflow hidden, these images were overflowing from this container. So they are cut, right? Or they are hidden. So if I remove this, you see that we go back to these large images. So, okay, cool. So now what I want to do, I want my images to be like showing perfectly. So I'm going to target portfolio item and then image inside. I'm going to set the width of them to 100%. You see now that their width is like 100% of the container. And I'm going to set their height to 100% also. And then I'm gonna set the object fit to cover. So this will make sure that my images are not stretched. If you look at this, if I save, you see that my images, they are respecting the aspect ratio of the parent container. They are not stretching or being squished, right? So I can like adjust the position also to make sure that they always start at the top by writing object position and set this to top, maybe center, right? So this will make sure that even if the image is long, but it won't focus at the center of the image, it will focus at the top center. That means it will show the website from the top down, right? So yeah, so this is like the side behind this. Okay, so this is the idea behind this, right? So now we have, let me hide this. So you see now that we have this information that is hidden because we wrote this line, overflow hidden. So we have this information and it is there. So let me remove this line and then now we will style this, right? So it's called item info, I believe. So let's check. Tab contents, portfolio. Okay, it's called, yes, item info. So here, what we need to do, we need to style this. This is like, let's style this and then position it accordingly. So firstly, we're going to have like a background color. Let me take yellow, see it yellow. And then I want to like bump down the opacity because if you look here, you can see that the opacity, you can like poke through the yellow to see the background. So I wanted something like that. Okay. So, and then what I want to do, I want to make sure that this is a flex container. So I will make this a flex container and then I will give this a padding of maybe 20 pixels. And then I would change the flex direction to column to make them on top of each other. And then I would say align item center. And then I would give them a gap of maybe 10 pixels. So now you see them. And then I would say text align center to make the text aligned at the center. Right, so you see now we have these sections. So now what I want to do, I want to put them on top of the images. All right. So what I want to do before that, let me take care of this. Okay, no, never mind. Let's put them on top first. So there is something called absolute positioning. So this works by if your parent container has a position relative. So by positioning something absolute, that will be relative to that container, right? So if you don't provide this, the positioning will be relative to the body element or to the root. So here we have to use position absolute. So now they are absolutely positioned. So with this, we can define the top. Let's make it 0. So you see now that there are the 0 pixels from the top of this. And then if we do bottom 0 again, they will fill the whole thing, right? So now we've achieved putting them on top, and that is good, right? So now I want to deal with this. It should be at the center of everything. Let's see, align item center. Let's do and justify the content at the center also. Yeah, perfect. So now we have this. The issue now is that we have this on top, right? You see that it's on top, and we need to hide this. We know that the height of this is 200 pixels. So we need to make sure that we hide this, or we push this 200 pixels from the top, away, right? So for that, we're gonna use transforms. So we're gonna transform, translate Y. So Y means the Y axis. So we're gonna do negative 200 pixels here, right? So you see now they are at the top, right from the top. Now, if you bring back this and say hidden, you see now they hide because but they are right there. If you close this, you see they appear, but since we are hiding them and they are positioned relative to this container, they will like go away. Right. So now another thing that I want to do, I want to like give like some spacing here. So let's go under tab content and do margin top. Let's do 40. Okay. So now we want to bring this back whenever we hover over the items here, right? So we want to bring this back. So now you see we have item info. I mean portfolio, right? Portfolio item. So let's do portfolio. If we hover over the portfolio item, we want to target the item info and change this transform property from a negative 200 to 0. So that's what we want to do. So now you see if we hover over, we are changing this this transform property of translate Y to 0. So you see that it drops from the top to here. But now we want to smoothen this transition so that it looks sexy. And then we use transition. So what are we transitioning? We are transitioning the transform property. So we write transform here, and then we're gonna do 1 second. And then the timing function we're gonna use is the default is in and out. Then if I press here, you see now that they are dropping and hiding smoothly, right? So now what we need to do is to style this link. You see this link is not good. Here, the link is just a white circle with this link button. So here is not that good. So we need to deal with that. And after that, we need to deal with the mobile stuff, because you see that on mobile, it's not good. So it should be like on top of each other, not in two columns like this. So I believe this had a class of link. So we need to change the width. Let's do 30. And then the height of like 30 pixels again. And then a border radius of 15%. Let's see. Okay. Let's remove the border none. What? Border none. Okay. So now they are like this. So what we need to do is to, if you hover over this, you see it doesn't change. So we need a cursor of pointer. And then we need a box shadow 004 px of spread, and we need a variable called trans black. That's black good. Maybe white. So I need like a shadow. Okay, so now we have a shadow. we need to make sure that that icon is at the center. So let's use grid and say place content center. Okay, perfect. Right. So now I think we are done with this icon. What we need to do now is to maybe deal with the mobile stuff. Right. So the mobile stuff. Okay, so before we go to the mobile, let's deal with this. You see here, we have this one. This one, we need to make sure that we are styling this one also, right? Because we have like the scales here. So they should be like this. So if we go to dark mode, they are the same. So that makes it much easier, right? So we have, let's me see the okay, we have the scale, and inside we have image and, okay. Okay. So we have skill. Let's do skill. So inside the skill, I mean, we're going to make it a flex container because we want to make it side by side. You see now it's side by side. You're going to do align item center to make sure they are centered. And then we're going to give it a gap of 10 pixels. 10 pixels. And then we're going to give it a background color of white. Of white. And then, okay, now they are coming. We're going to do a border radius of 10 pixels, 10 pixels. And then we're going to do, what else? Do we need a padding? Padding, yes, we need a padding. Padding of 15 pixels. Great. And then we need to address the size of the image inside. So we target in scale and the image inside. And then let's address the width. Let's set it to about 40. Right. So now it looks like so. Okay. It looks like so. And then we need to have like a media query, and width is less or equal to 680 pixels. 680 pixels. Okay, and then we're gonna set the tab content to okay, firstly, let's adjust the margin top to 20 pixels to about 20, and then we're gonna do the grid template columns. Let's do an FR so that it fills the whole thing. But so yeah. So you see now that we have this. When you go to mobile, it becomes this. Right? It becomes this. Then it's good. So the reason I'm having both of this like this, it's because when we reach the JavaScript side of things, we're gonna be changing this actually. So we're gonna be changing this, the content. So the portfolio shows this and the skills shows the skills. But for now, because I'm styling and I wanna see all of them, that's why I have both at the same time. So yeah, so that's the reason. So don't be alarmed and say, why do you have like everything here? So this is how it's going to be for styling purposes. But for when we get into JavaScript, then we look at how to dynamically generate these other items. based on which link is active here or which button is active, right? Okay, so I think everything is fine. So the last thing that we need to look at is the the footer, because there is a footer there that we need to address, and then we will be like done with this project. So let's go and open a layer called footer, and then we're gonna just target the footer tag, and then we're gonna have margin top, let's say 40 pixels, to make sure that we push the other stuff up. And then we're gonna text align center to center align everything. And then let's do a margin bottom of maybe 20 pixel. Okay, and then we're gonna do color of black. But if we have the body, and if we have the class of dark within our body, so we want to target the footer and change the color to a white color, right? So I think that's all. So let's see if we add dark here. You see that, okay, everything looks normal. And then we have, so this one doesn't work now. Okay. Okay. So guys, while we're here, let's maybe do something nice and maybe change this icon to yellow color when you hover over them. Let's see. So this was under the profile. We have, okay, so what is like, okay, so we can do the same for every thing. So socials dot path fill. Okay, so let's just copy this and say if we hover over, let's do yellow here. Socials svg path dot hover. Okay, so let me try something. Something. So I want to do, so if we hover over the SVG, let's do this. Doesn't work? What? Socials. And as if you hover over the SVG, you need to set social SVG.path to a field of yellow. But this should work. Mm-hmm. Guys, I'm not sure why this doesn't work, but what I wanted to do, I wanted to change this on hover, because we see here we have pointer, you see. So I wanted to change some color if we are hovering, because social SVGs, if we hover over this, is this maybe? I thought I have like this. I don't know what's going on. Let's remove this and see. Still. Okay. Maybe I'm writing this wrong. Let's see. I thought I'm doing everything good. Socials, SVG, color, right. Oh. So if we have, oh, okay. So this is like, all right, I should have done. So if we have socials pathway here, so then we need to do a var of yellow. So maybe I was like doing everything badly. It's just trial and error. Okay, so for the dark one, I should do, I should repeat the same, but for dark, so body dot dark. Okay, good. So here I should like take this and put it under addressing dark mode. Yeah, so you guys, you see, this is how you like do your CSS. I hope you will learn a lot from this. Yeah, so next up, we're going to do JavaScript. We're going to be working on how to do this to make this work, to toggle between light and dark mode, and also to toggle between portfolio and skills. We're going to be like creating all of this with JavaScript instead of writing HTML like this. So all these elements will be dynamically created when you press portfolio, and they will be dynamically created when you press skills, the other one. So it will be like that. So thank you very much, guys, for being part of this. I hope you will enjoy the video. You will learn a lot. I'm gonna push this on GitHub so that you guys can get access to it. Yeah, so let's do that actually. So let's do that actually. Let me just gonna generate this. Okay. So now I'm committing the code to GitHub so that you guys can get it. Yeah. So thank you so much, guys, for being part of this. I really enjoyed. I really hope you will enjoy as well. Uh, thank you. Bye.